I sit on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, refreshing the screen like it might suddenly feel guilty and change. Nothing. No calls. No messages. No fake, "Merry Christmas, sweetie." Maybe the signal's bad, I mutter, even though I know that's a lie. I've used that lie every Christmas since I was 10. I open the family group chat. Mark posted an hour ago. Christmas morning vibes. There's a photo. My parents. Mark. His girlfriend. Matching pajamas. Smiling like a catalog family. "So you remembered the group chat," I whisper. Just not me. I stare at the photo until my chest tightens. I lock my phone and throw it on the bed. "Don't be dramatic, Ethan," I tell myself. They probably have plans. Plans. They always have plans. I remember asking last year, "What time should I come?" Mom had said, "Oh, honey, we'll see. Things are a bit busy." Busy loving Mark. Busy forgetting me. My phone finally rings. My heart jumps before my pride can stop it. I grab it. "Mom." "Ethan," Linda says, cheerful, distracted. I hear plates clinking. Laughter. Mark's laugh. "Merry Christmas," I say. "Oh yes, Merry Christmas," she replies. "We're just about to eat." "Eat where?" I ask, already knowing. "At your father's place," she says. "Mark came early this year." "That's nice," I say. My voice sounds calm. It always does. There's a pause. Are you doing anything today?" I laugh quietly. "Just sitting here. Waiting." "For what?" she asks. "For someone to remember me." "Ethan, don't start," she sighs. "You know how things get." "How do they get?" I ask. "Because from here, it looks pretty organized." "We didn't think you'd want to come," she says. "Did you ask?" Silence. "Mom," I say softly, "did you ask?" "Well," she begins, "Mark already arranged everything and—" "So Mark decided," I interrupt. "He's family," she snaps, then lowers her voice. "You're being sensitive." Sensitive. My favorite word. The word they use instead of unwanted. "I just wanted to hear your voice," I say. "You have," she replies. "I should go. Dinner's ready. Tell Dad I said hi." "I will," she says, already gone. The call ends. I stare at the black screen until it reflects my face. "Guess that's it," I whisper. There's a knock at my door. I flinch, then stand. Mrs. Carter is there, holding a small tin. "Morning, Ethan," she says warmly. "I made too many cookies again." "They smell great," I say. "You're alone?" she asks gently. "Just me," I reply. She hesitates. "Your family didn't come?" "No," I say. "They're busy." She nods like she understands too much. "Well, you shouldn't be alone today." "I'm used to it," I say, taking the tin. "That doesn't make it right," she says. Her words sting more than my mother's silence. "Thank you," I tell her. She smiles sadly. "Merry Christmas, dear." "Merry Christmas," I reply, closing the door. The apartment feels quieter than before. I sit at the table, open the tin, and stare at the cookies. "They remembered to bake for me," I say to the room. I eat one. It tastes like effort. That night, I lie in bed, phone beside me, untouched. "I'm done," I whisper. "I'm done waiting. I'm done hoping." I close my eyes. I won't beg for love anymore. The promise feels small, but real. And for the first time, the silence doesn't feel like my fault. I remember the day it started. Rachel didn't kiss me goodbye that morning. Not even a peck. "Rachel?" I asked, frowning as she avoided my eyes. "I have a lot on my mind," she muttered, slipping past me. "Mind? What about us?" She didn't answer. Later, I caught Daniel staring at his phone like he'd seen a ghost when I walked in. "You okay?" I asked. He shrugged. "Yeah, just tired." Tired. He lied so badly it made my stomach turn. A few nights later, I stayed late at my apartment. I went to the living room to grab a drink and froze. Rachel's laughter. Daniel's laughter. Loud, easy, familiar in a way that felt wrong. Ethan wouldn't understand, I heard Rachel say. What? I whispered to myself. Exactly, Daniel said, chuckling. He never does. Everything inside me shattered. I stepped forward. You don't understand? I see everything. They turned. Shock flickered, then melted into guilty grins. Ethan, Rachel said softly, it's not what you think. Not what I think. I shouted. You're laughing, Daniel. You're... Enough. Daniel snapped. Ethan, calm down. Calm down. I repeated, voice cracking. Calm down while you betray me. Rachel's eyes were glossy. It just happened. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse. You destroyed me. I yelled. You need to move on, Daniel said, shrugging like I was overreacting. I couldn't breathe. My heart pounded. Move on. Move on while you, both, laugh behind my back. Rachel's lips quivered. It's complicated. Complicated? You mean selfish, I said. You mean cruel. I stormed out, phone in hand, searching for my family. My father picked up after 2 rings. Dad, it's Rachel and Daniel. They... Ethan, he interrupted. Don't cause drama. Just move on quietly. Move on quietly. I yelled. There. Ethan. His voice was sharp. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. I hung up, shaking. My mother wouldn't even answer. My siblings whispered as I walked past. No one looked at me. I spent hours pacing my apartment, stomach churning, mind racing. Why them? I muttered. Why always me? By evening, I was packed. Clothes, essentials, my few keepsakes. Nothing else mattered. Rachel texted. Please, Ethan, don't leave like this. I typed back. I'm done waiting for excuses. Daniel called. I ignored it. I opened the door and felt the chill of the street. My hands clenched into fists. Rage, humiliation, and clarity boiled inside me. This isn't heartbreak, I whispered. This is exile. I didn't look back. My car pulled out of the driveway, and I left my past behind. Hours later, I stopped at a rest area, headlights cutting through the night. My hands shook on the wheel. They'll regret this, I muttered. They don't get to erase me. A tear rolled down my cheek, but it wasn't for sadness. It was the first sign of freedom. I thought about Rachel's smile, Daniel's smirk. I thought about my family, so eager to choose them over me. I won't beg again, I whispered. I'll survive. I'll rise. Night stretched endlessly. I drove with no destination, only the weight of betrayal and the fuel of fury. By dawn, the town disappeared behind me. Streets unfamiliar, buildings gone, voices silent. I breathed deeply, feeling emptiness, but also clarity. Rage had sharpened into focus. I didn't know where I'd go or who I'd become, but I knew one thing. I'd never let anyone make me small again. Not Rachel. Not Daniel. Not my family. The sun rose over the horizon. I clenched the steering wheel and smiled, bitter, raw, unstoppable. This was exile, yes, but it was mine. I whispered again, more to myself than anyone else. Everything fell apart, and yet, I'm alive. The city swallowed me whole. Cheap apartments, cracked walls, the smell of damp and old carpet. I didn't mind. Nobody came knocking. Nobody waited for me. Ethan, a voice said one morning. I looked up. A tall man, broad shoulders, sharp eyes. Noah Blake. He didn't smile. Didn't offer comfort. Just looked at me. You live here? He asked. Rent, I muttered, unsure why I was defending myself. Looks like you don't eat much, he said, scanning my kitchen, which held a single can of beans. I get by, I said. You think surviving is enough? His voice was blunt, almost cruel. What else is there? Everything else, he said. Skills, discipline, control. You waste your pain if you don't turn it into something. I stared. Pain. I had a mountain of it. Betrayal, abandonment, humiliation. Turn it into something, he repeated. You look like a corpse pretending to live. Maybe I am, I said softly. No excuses, he snapped. You survived. Good. Now live. I spent nights in silence, stomach growling, hands shaking. I listened to Noah's voice in my head, even when he wasn't there. Fail, he said one morning after I stumbled on an exercise he gave me. Then learn. Again. And again. I gritted my teeth. I can't keep failing. You will. And if you're smart, you'll love it. Love failure. I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded. Days blurred. I woke early. Ran empty streets. Lifted weights that made my muscles burn in unfamiliar ways. I learned numbers, charts, contracts, deadlines. I burned through books, notes, videos. I became disciplined, methodical. Noah visited sometimes. You look better, he'd say. Stronger. But you're still soft in the head. That family voice in your brain. It'll kill you faster than hunger. They won't stop, I said quietly. They're gone, he said. If they're not, they're irrelevant. You're here. Alive. That's all that matters. I thought about them. The laughter of Rachel and Daniel. The smirks, the cold shoulders. The way my father had told me not to cause drama. Alive isn't enough, I muttered to myself. I have to mean something. You already do, Noah said once, overhearing me. Don't waste it wishing for pity. I failed again. Contracts botched, calculations wrong, pitches rejected. Every rejection stung. I swallowed my pride, studied harder, tried again. Pain became fuel. Rage became strategy. I learned to walk without seeking approval, to speak without fear, to act without hesitation. My reflection slowly changed. Not handsome, not confident at first glance, but deliberate. Focused. Dangerous if crossed. Ethan, look at this, Noah said one morning, tossing me a document. I scanned it. A contract. A first big deal, something I'd worked toward for months. You did this? I asked, disbelief heavy in my chest. You did, he corrected. I laughed, quietly, in disbelief. I survived. You did, he said, nodding. And that's enough for anyone. I called my old number once, thinking of them. No answer. Not surprised. My stomach tightened, but it wasn't panic. It was history. Memory. Don't call again, I told myself. You're alive now. That's your only responsibility. I signed the contract. Hand shaking, heart pounding. My first major deal. Real money. Real respect. And not a single person from my past could touch it. I can do this, I whispered, feeling the weight of every lonely night, every skipped meal, every failure. I didn't need them. Noah clapped me on the shoulder. You could have done it anywhere. The city, the struggle, the hunger, it didn't matter. You mattered. I leaned back, letting it sink in. Rage, pain, loss, they were tools now, not shackles. The apartment was quiet. The street below carried its usual chaos. My reflection in the window smiled slightly, small, cautious. I had disappeared, yes. But in disappearing, I had found myself. No more waiting, I said aloud. No more needing them. I survive. I build. I rise. I leaned forward, signed my name again, and realized something new. My past had nothing to do with my future. I survived without them, I whispered. And maybe I always could have. The night stretched calm around me. The city hummed beneath. I breathed, for the first time in years, steady and unafraid. I had chosen disappearing over dying inside, and I was finally free. The mountain air smelled cold, crisp, empty. I walked across the polished stone floor of my new mansion, hands in pockets, letting the silence settle around me. Ava, the railing here, does it need reinforcement? I asked, glancing at the sweeping staircase. No, it's solid, she replied, sketchbook in hand. Her voice was casual, easy. She didn't know. Didn't understand. Solid, I repeated. Good. She smiled, turning to the next drawing. You've done an incredible job with this space. Light, angles, it feels expansive. Expansive is exactly what I wanted, I said quietly. Not cozy. Not cozy. She raised an eyebrow. This place isn't for comfort, I told her, letting the words linger. It's for closure. She tilted her head. Closure. Years of waiting, I said, voice low. Of hoping. Being overlooked, dismissed. This, I gestured at the towering windows, the stone walls, the cold perfection. This is for me, not for anyone else. Her pencil paused. You've built a fortress. Exactly. I let her words hang, not correcting them. Weeks later, Christmas approached. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching snow dust the mountain peaks. A thought formed, calm and deliberate. I picked up my phone. Slowly, I drafted invitations. Polite, understated, precise. Everyone from my past, family, old friends, even those who had hurt me, received one. No trace of emotion. No hint of resentment. Just control. Ava peeked over my shoulder. Who's getting these? Everyone, I said. It's time. The responses came instantly. Phone buzzing, messages piling up. Surprise, excitement, pride. They couldn't hide it. Ethan, you built this. My mother's text read. Absolutely stunning. We must visit, another said. I read them carefully, one by one, tone measured. Their voices on the phone hadn't changed. The familiar cadence, the subtle condescension I'd known all my life. I set the phone down. They think this changes something, I muttered. They've always thought that, Ava said. I nodded. They assume emotion, weakness. But I feel nothing. Nothing, she asked. Nothing, I repeated. Not anger. Not triumph. Not even satisfaction. Detached. The realization hit harder than rage ever had. Scary, she asked, honestly curious. I think, maybe, I admitted. Success didn't heal me. It sharpened me. Made me aware. I'm not them anymore. And they won't know who I am. I walked to the balcony, letting the wind whip my hair. Below, the valley stretched endlessly, empty as I felt inside. Do you ever regret the path? Ava asked. Sometimes, I said. But regret assumes I could have stayed the same. I couldn't. Not after everything. Not after becoming what I needed to survive. Ava smiled faintly, but her eyes were thoughtful. It's rare, seeing someone so unshakable. Unshakable, I repeated. Yes, that's the point. I can't be shaken by them. By anyone who ever tried. Christmas arrived. I moved through the house, adjusting lights, checking tables. Every detail meticulous, every space calculated. Control, I reminded myself. Control over the environment, control over my presence, control over the past. The phone rang again. My father. Hesitant at first. Then eager. Ethan, he said. We're so proud. This is incredible. Thank you, I replied, calm, precise. I wanted to share it with you all. And we'll come. Absolutely. We have to see it, he said. I'll look forward to it, I said. No warmth, no tension, just measured words. My mother called too. Ethan, I can't believe this. You've outdone yourself. I appreciate that, Mom, I said evenly. The same voices. The same inflections. But I didn't feel the old anger rise. I didn't crave their approval. I didn't ache for recognition. Instead, I felt quiet, balanced, dangerous in my detachment. Ava looked at me, clearly curious. They don't scare you. They never did, I said. Not really. I only needed to survive them. Now, I just observe. I walked back into the great hall, touching the cold stone, feeling the weight of solitude that was mine by design. They'll see the house, I whispered. But they won't see me. Not really. Ava nodded. And that's enough. Yes, I said. Enough. Always enough. The snow fell silently outside. Inside, I felt the calm certainty of power, of distance, of finality. I had built more than a house. I had built myself. And they'll never understand, I murmured. And they won't, Ava confirmed. I smiled faintly, looking out over the mountain peaks. I was in control. I was sharp. I was free. This was Christmas. This was victory. And I didn't need anyone to tell me that it was mine. The doorbell rang sharp and precise. I didn't move immediately. Let them wait. Let them feel small, even for a second. Ethan, you there? My father's voice called through the hall. I opened the door. My parents stepped in, eyes wide at the stone walls, the wide windows, the ceilings that seemed endless. Wow, Mom breathed. This is extraordinary. I can see the view from here, Mark added, clapping his hands. I didn't think mountains could look this good. Rachel stayed behind them, silent, hands folded. Daniel lingered near the doorway, avoiding my eyes like always. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Make yourselves comfortable. This is elegant, Dad said, eyes scanning the polished stone. You really outdid yourself, Ethan. Thank you, I said evenly, letting the words hang. Mark laughed loudly. I can't believe you built all this. I mean, seriously, Ethan, wow. You always exaggerate, Mark, I said, arching an eyebrow. Hey, I admire greatness when I see it, he said, grinning. Rachel said nothing. She just nodded, lips pressed thin. Daniel shuffled his feet. Would you like a drink? I asked. Something to start with? Oh, yes, that would be wonderful, Mom said, her voice sugary. I poured. They held their glasses delicately, like porcelain dolls, eyes wide, voices light. This place must have cost a fortune, Dad said, leaning on the counter. I mean, truly remarkable. I worked for it, I said simply. Of course, he replied. We're proud of you, son. Really proud. Mark elbowed Daniel lightly. See, man. Nothing like family support, huh? Daniel muttered something inaudible and looked away. Rachel finally spoke, voice soft. It's impressive, Ethan. Really. Thank you, I said again, calm. The afternoon moved with polite laughter. Mark told jokes too loud, too familiar. Mom wandered from room to room, murmuring compliments. Dad nodded approvingly at each detail. Rachel lingered silently, always poised, never meeting my eyes. Daniel stayed close to her, stiff, uncomfortable. I love the fireplace, Mom said, pointing to the hearth. It's inviting. I smiled faintly. I built it for nights like this. Mark clapped me on the back. I'd sleep here every night if I could. Then don't leave the door open, I said. Calm, controlled. Rachel's eyes flicked toward me, wary. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. No apologies. No acknowledgement of the past. Only admiration. You've really changed, Ethan, Dad said, voice light. Not just the house. You're confident. Accomplished. I had to, I replied evenly. Some lessons are unavoidable. Oh, I'm sure, Mom said, smiling tightly. We're so glad you found your path. Mark laughed again. I told you. Ethan's unstoppable now. You've got that spark, man. Rachel's lips pressed in a thin line. Daniel kept looking at the floor. I observed them all, their habits, their fake warmth, the way they spoke like they'd done nothing wrong. Would you like to see the study? I asked. It's my favorite room. Yes, please. Mom said. I led them, silently noting each glance, each gesture. They admired everything, every detail. Praise without remorse, admiration without apology. Perfectly polished hypocrisy. By evening, they had eaten, laughed politely, taken photos. I offered drinks, desserts, everything. They smiled, thanked me, complimented me. Not once did they mention the past. Not once did they show real emotion. When they left, I watched them from the door. Mark waved, loud and bright. Rachel gave a small nod. Daniel's eyes darted briefly, then away. My parents hugged me briefly, murmuring praise. The door closed behind them. Silence returned, complete, empty, comforting. I walked to the fireplace, sitting on the stone edge, hands on my knees. The embers glowed faintly. The room smelled faintly of pine and stone, untouched by chatter. I thought about their smiles, their polite voices, their empty admiration. They expected me to be affected, to crave their approval. But I wasn't. I can control everything, I whispered to myself. Not with anger, not with shouting, with patience. Quiet patience. The fire crackled softly. Shadows danced across the walls. I felt a strange calm, heavier and sharper than any rage. Revenge didn't need noise. It didn't need confrontation. It needed observation, calculation, control. I leaned back, letting the warmth seep in. My family had come smiling, like nothing had happened. Like they'd forgotten the past entirely. I had not. And that made all the difference. The night stretched on, silent except for the fire. I closed my eyes. Patience, I reminded myself. Observation. Quiet power. They think they've won, I whispered, but they don't even know the game has changed. The embers glowed, steady, relentless. I sat, alone, and felt sharper than ever. The table was set perfectly. Silverware gleaming, candles flickering. My family sat across from me, smiles carefully in place. I poured wine calmly, ignoring their eyes. "Ethan, you're really going all out," Mom said. "I wanted this to be memorable," I replied evenly. Mark grinned. Yeah. But dinner first, right?" "Of course," I said. I lifted my glass. "Let's begin." I started with a question, quiet, calm. "Rachel, when did you start seeing Daniel?" The fork paused mid-air. Rachel's lips pressed together. It's complicated." "Complicated," I repeated. "I see. And Daniel, did you ever tell me?" "No," he said, voice low, avoiding my eyes. "Good. Honest answer," I said, nodding. "I appreciate honesty tonight." Mom stirred her soup. "Ethan, must we?" "Mom," I interrupted softly. "I'm asking questions. Simple ones. Factual ones. Not accusations." Dad cleared his throat. "Ethan, perhaps." "Dad, timeline first. Rachel, your first message to Daniel." Her hand shook. "It was last spring. A text. Nothing serious." "Nothing serious?" I asked. "I have the messages, Rachel. Your words. Ethan wouldn't understand." "That was April 23rd. Rachel's eyes widened. You saw that?" "I did." "And Daniel, your reply?" "Exactly. You thought I wouldn't notice." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't think. You'd know the tone." "Tone matters," I said, voice calm. "Words carry meaning." Mark snorted. "Come on, Ethan." It wasn't nothing," I said evenly, locking eyes with him. "I have dates, times, conversations, decisions you all made, thinking I was blind." Dad slammed his napkin down. "Enough. This is ridiculous." "Is it?" I asked, voice still calm. "Because I have facts. I have clarity. And I need answers." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean. I never thought." "Thought what?" I asked. "That I wouldn't find out. That I'd stay silent." I was selfish," she admitted. "No further excuses," I said, voice steady. "Selfishness is a fact. Choices are facts. And I'm observing." Mom shook her head. "Ethan, please. Can't this be civil?" "Civil," I said, "requires honesty. I've asked for that. Simple truth." Mark slammed his hand on the table. "You think you know everything? You're being ridiculous." "I know enough," I said. "Enough to see the patterns. Enough to understand who you all are when you think I don't watch." Dad's face turned red. "Ethan, don't talk to your brother, or anyone, like that. You're insulting us." "I'm not insulting," I said, voice unwavering. "I'm stating facts. Rachel, Daniel, Mom, Dad, your choices, your words, your excuses, I've cataloged them all." Rachel's hands trembled. I'm sorry," she whispered. "Sorry doesn't erase your actions," I said calmly. "It's acknowledgement. That's all I needed." Dad slammed his fist on the table. "This is shameful. You'll regret." "I don't raise my voice," I said softly. "I don't need to. The truth speaks louder than anger." Mark leaned forward. "You think this proves something? You're just—" "I've already proven it," I said. "You underestimated me for years. Now you see I observe, I remember, and I understand. That's the difference." Rachel looked at me, defeated. I shouldn't have." "You shouldn't have," I said, letting the words land gently but firmly. "And Daniel, your role in this? You know better." He swallowed. I failed," he admitted. "Exactly," I said. "And that's not up for debate." Mom's voice trembled. "Ethan, please. You're too harsh." "I'm not harsh," I said softly. "I'm precise. Facts are precise. Actions have consequences. And I am observing. That's all." Dad's chair scraped loudly as he stood. "I can't. This is outrageous." "You can leave," I said. "Or stay. Either way, the facts remain." Silence fell. Heavy, uncomfortable, exact. Every eye on me, yet none daring to speak further. I sipped my wine. Controlled. Let the quiet stretch. Rachel slumped slightly, Daniel avoided my gaze, Mark gritted his teeth, and my parents sat rigid. "I don't need apologies," I said quietly. "Acknowledgement is sufficient. Recognition of truth is sufficient. That's the power of reality." The rest of dinner continued without further words. No more lies, no more smirks. Politeness lingered, forced, brittle. After they left, I walked to the study, pouring myself a glass of whiskey. I sat by the fireplace, embers glowing softly. Patience, I thought. Observation. Calculated control. Revenge didn't need shouting. It didn't need confrontation. Truth did all the damage. I lifted the glass, staring into the amber liquid. The power had shifted. Quietly. Fully. And I hadn't raised my voice once. My phone buzzed early. "Mark." "Ethan, we need to talk," he said, breathless over the line. "I don't think we do," I replied evenly. "Come on. It's important, business stuff." "Business?" I asked, arching an eyebrow. "Funny how your business only matters when you need me." "It's not like that," he said, panic edging his tone. "I need your investment, your contacts, your guidance. You're the only one who can save this." "Mark," I said calmly, "I'm not in the habit of rescuing people who've treated me like a ghost." "Ethan, please. This isn't personal." "Everything is personal, Mark. Always has been," I said. "And I've moved on from your drama." Come on. Don't be like this," he stammered. "I've been like this for years. Polite, waiting, hoping. That ends now." Silence. I could hear him swallowing, realizing I meant every word. "You're refusing?" "Yes." "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. Your choices have consequences. Yours aren't mine to fix." The line went quiet. Finally, he hung up. Relief mingled with triumph. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt nothing. Later that afternoon, my mother called. "Ethan, darling, I think you're being hasty. Surely you'll reconsider helping Mark." "I'm not reconsidering, Mom," I said. "He's capable of managing, or failing, on his own. Your leverage ends where my boundaries begin." "Oh, Ethan," she said, voice tight. "We just want what's best for you. Don't be so cold." "Cold?" "No, Mom. I'm self-aware. Detached. I don't need your approval. I only need clarity." "You're so hard," she whispered. "No," I said softly. "I'm precise. Hard implies weakness. This isn't weakness. This is knowing my worth." She didn't respond. I didn't need her to. A knock at my door startled me. I opened it to find Rachel, standing hesitantly. "Ethan, can we talk?" she asked. "Of course," I said, stepping aside. "Come in." She sat, hands folded tightly. I wanted to apologize. I was selfish. I hurt you more than I realized. Please, I want your forgiveness. I looked at her, calm, steady. "I hear you." Her eyes searched mine. "You're angry, right?" "I'm not," I said. "Not really." Her lips parted. "You're not." "No," I said. "I won't deny the past. I won't minimize it. But anger doesn't serve me anymore. Neither does longing. Neither does validation from you, or anyone. I thought you'd, I don't know, fight, scream, hate me. I've grown beyond needing that," I said. "Self-respect has replaced anger. Recognition has replaced rage." She swallowed. "So, you forgive me?" "I don't need to forgive you," I said. "Forgiveness implies pain remains. I feel nothing. That is my victory." She blinked, stunned. "Nothing. Nothing," I repeated. "I acknowledge facts. I observe actions. I accept reality. But I feel nothing for what you did." She looked down, quiet, as if realizing she had lost something she never understood. I'm sorry," she whispered again. "And that is sufficient," I said calmly. Later, I reflected while walking through the mansion, letting the quiet stone and glass surround me. The phone calls, the excuses, the apologies, they were shadows. Irrelevant. They had tried to impose themselves on me, and I had denied them. Not with force. Not with fury. With detachment. Revenge had tempted me once. I imagined confrontations, punishments, poetic justice. But standing here, listening to them, watching their helplessness, I realized that real power is quieter. Harder to measure. Not in breaking others, but in not needing them. I poured myself a drink and sat by the fireplace, letting the glow wash over me. Their words, their pleas, their tiny panics, they no longer pierced me. They were evidence, not ammunition. Karma didn't need to knock on my door. It had already arrived and sat down. Self-respect is quieter than rage, but heavier, stronger, lasting. Anger is fleeting. Approval is optional. Recognition is meaningless when it's forced. What matters is standing solid, unshaken, impervious to the chaos they try to impose. I sipped the whiskey. The fire crackled softly. Shadows danced across the walls. I realized the greatest victory isn't in confrontation. It's in indifference. Observing. Standing firm. Watching the consequences unfold without lifting a finger. Mark, Rachel, my parents, they'd collided with their own choices. And I remained untouched, not by luck, not by fate, but by discipline, patience, and unwavering self-awareness. I smiled faintly, the first real smile in years. Not triumph. Not joy. Calm. Balanced. Revenge didn't heal me. Self-respect did. And that was enough. I leaned back in my chair, glass in hand, firelight reflecting in my eyes. The house was silent. Empty. Perfect. For the first time, I understood. I survived not by punishing them, but by refusing to be broken. Karma didn't knock. It sat down. And I didn't need to rise. It was already mine. The door closed behind them. No hugs. No lingering hands. No forced smiles. Just silence. I leaned against the frame, letting it settle. The mansion felt enormous now, empty in a way that was comforting instead of lonely. "Finally," I whispered. I wandered through the great hall, fingertips brushing the stone, each step echoing softly. I looked at the walls, the windows, the fireplaces I had built with purpose, and felt nothing but peace. The phone rang. Mrs. Carter. I answered immediately. "Ethan." Her voice warm, familiar, gentle. "Mrs. Carter," I said. "Hello. You sound lighter, she said. Did everything go okay? They left, I said. Early. Quiet. No need for anything more. I see, she murmured. And how do you feel? Free, I said. I realized something, Mrs. Carter. I didn't need to win. I didn't need to hurt anyone. I just needed to let go. That's a rare strength, she said softly. It took me years to learn, I admitted. I used to think revenge was the end game. I used to chase validation like air. But I'm done. Done waiting, she asked. Yes, I said, letting a smile slip through. Done waiting for approval. Done hoping for recognition. Done needing anyone to validate my worth. Then you found peace, she said. That's what I've always wanted for you. I think so, I said, shoulders relaxing. I finally understand that my life isn't dictated by their choices or mistakes. It's mine. Entirely mine. Good, she whispered. That's all that matters. We spoke a little longer. Small talk, laughter, memories. No sorrow, no bitterness. Just connection. I hung up, letting the warmth linger. I walked to the balcony, letting the wind brush against my face. Snow dusted the mountain peaks beyond. Cold, still, infinite. I breathed in deeply, feeling the emptiness fill with something new. Clarity, quiet, self-worth. Ava appeared in the doorway. Ethan. I turned. She leaned against the frame, holding her plans casually, but her eyes sharp, perceptive. You look lighter, she said. I am, I said softly. You finally beat them, she asked, voice teasing. I shook my head. I didn't need to beat them. I stopped caring to win. Her eyebrows rose. Stopped caring. Yes, I said, stepping toward her. I finally stopped waiting. For their approval. Their forgiveness. Their acknowledgement. Their attention. None of it matters anymore. Ava studied me for a long moment. That's impressive. It's freeing, I admitted. I spent years trapped in what they thought, what they said, what they did. I let go, and now I'm whole. She smiled faintly, as if understanding. So all the anger, the plotting, it wasn't really about them? No, I said. It was about me. About learning that my worth isn't defined by anyone else. That I can exist fully without their permission. I see that now, she said softly. I walked to the living room, watching the fire flicker. Shadows danced across the walls. They had left nothing behind, yet the house didn't feel empty. It felt mine, unclaimed, steady. I thought of Mark, Rachel, my parents, Daniel. Their words, their smiles, their fake warmth. For years, I had let them have power over my emotions, my confidence. Now, I had taken it back. Not through confrontation, not through revenge, but by refusing to be moved by them. I sat in my favorite chair, hands resting on the armrests. Silence surrounded me. The fire crackled softly. The mansion, vast and imposing, no longer felt like a fortress or a prison. It felt like a home. I whispered to myself, almost inaudible, I didn't win. I let go. And that's enough. I reached for a glass of whiskey, swirling it gently. The warmth spread slowly, a reminder that life continued, steady and unshaken. Ava came closer, resting a hand briefly on my shoulder. You're lighter, calmer. You've changed. I have, I said, smiling. I'm not waiting anymore. Not for anyone. Not for anything. Then you're free, she said, softly, with the certainty of someone who had witnessed transformation. Yes, I said, leaning back, letting the firelight reflect in my eyes. Free. Finally. The mansion stretched in silence around me, vast, empty, perfect. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing in the cold mountain air through the wide windows. The phone, the emails, the calls, they could come tomorrow. Or never. None of it mattered. I had stopped waiting. And for the first time in my life, that was more than enough. Snow fell silently outside the wide windows. I watched it drift, each flake precise, untouched, indifferent to the world below. I sat in my chair by the fireplace, the flames casting a gentle warmth across my hands. I lifted my glass, swirling the whiskey gently. "Merry Christmas, Ethan," I whispered to myself. No calls. No texts. No one waiting. And for the first time, that was exactly as it should be. The phone buzzed softly. I glanced at it. A message from an old colleague. "Happy holidays." I smiled faintly. Nothing more. I thought back to the boy I had been, sitting alone on past Christmas mornings, refreshing his phone, hoping someone, anyone, would remember. Waiting, always waiting. "I remember you," I said quietly, touching the armrest. "But I don't need you anymore." The fire crackled. Shadows danced along the walls of the mansion. Cold stone, wide windows, empty halls, it all felt alive now. Not lonely. Alive. I poured another glass. "A toast," I muttered, "to the man I became without them." I traced the years in my mind. The betrayal. The heartbreak. The exile. The quiet nights of hunger, study, discipline, and failure. Noah's blunt voice in my head. Fail. Learn. Grow. I smiled faintly. "I grew," I whispered. "I survived." The mansion wasn't built for them. I had imagined them staring at polished stone, gleaming silverware, wide windows, forced smiles. But I hadn't built it for their recognition. I had built it for me, to remember who I became without needing them. Ava's voice floated back to me in memory. "You're lighter, calmer." "I am," I said aloud. "I'm steady." I thought of Rachel, Daniel, Mark, my parents. Their voices, their excuses, their attempts to regain relevance. They had no power here. None at all. And I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not triumph, not anger. Only quiet, complete awareness of my own worth. I leaned back, glass in hand. The fire warmed my face. "I didn't need them to survive," I whispered. "I never did." A faint gust of wind rattled the windows. The snow fell harder, heavier, blanketing the world below. I watched it for a long time. Peace settled in my chest, deep, solid, enduring. I thought about the boy who had waited for scraps of attention, for crumbs of love, for acknowledgement that never came. "You don't exist anymore," I told him gently. "You walked away from waiting. You stopped needing. You became someone else entirely." The mansion was silent except for the fire. I closed my eyes and breathed slowly, deliberately. No regrets. No longing. Just presence. The world outside was cold, vast, and unknowing. I didn't care. I had everything I needed inside. Space. Silence. Control. Freedom. I poured the last drop of whiskey into my glass, sipping slowly. The warmth spread through me. I thought of Mrs. Carter, of her cookies, of her soft voice years ago. She had reminded me that even small kindnesses could matter. I smiled faintly. "This is my kindness," I whispered. "To myself." The snow continued falling, silent, indifferent, perfect. I leaned forward, resting my arms on my knees, staring into the fire. I remembered every moment, the boy who waited, the man who left, the man who returned whole. "This is the last Christmas they forgot me," I said quietly, voice steady. "And I'm not lonely. I'm complete." I rose and walked through the mansion, fingertips brushing the stone, the polished wood, the windows that reflected the soft glow of the fire. Every corner whispered memories. Every hallway reminded me of discipline, patience, and endurance. I stopped at the balcony, looking out at the mountains dusted with snow. "I didn't build this to impress them," I said to the empty peaks. "I built it to remember who I became without them." The cold air brushed my face. I inhaled deeply, feeling it fill my lungs, steady, clean, sharp. I let the wind sweep away the last shadows of doubt, fear, and longing. The fire crackled behind me, warmth following, constant, unwavering. I raised my glass once more, empty streets and snow as my audience. "To the boy who waited," I said softly, "and the man who finally walked away." I sat back, letting the chair cradle me. Silence enveloped the mansion, complete, comfortable. I was alone, but not lonely. I was free, and finally, entirely myself. Snow fell through the night. The fire glowed. I breathed in, steady, calm. Peace settled deep in my chest. I whispered to the empty house, to the boy I had been, to the man I had become, I didn't win. I let go. And that is everything. For the first time, Christmas felt like victory, not longing, not revenge, not waiting. Only quiet justice, perfect and whole. The mansion, the mountains, the snow, they were mine, and so was I.